Right.
Good evening, everyone.
Kavod Araf, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, thank you. Okay, we go. Okay, so we said yesterday in the tour that when there's a group of people who are dining together, so the rule is that we should start with the biggest person there, the senior member. So let's see in a bit Yosef how he explains that. So it says here, Klomar litol yadav, that means that the senior person there is going to wash his hands first. The Tanya Mayim Rishonim Matchilim Min Hagadol. That when it comes to the washing, we start with the big guy, right? The whatever, the biggest guy there. And Tamar Litol Yadav, the Tanya, we said, okay. The Perek Shosha Shachlu. Where is this in Brachot? Men Bava Mud Bet. ואף אגב דמקשה בגמרא רב ששת דרב גלותא ריש גלותא. And even though that there's a question brought up there in the Gemara, Rav Sheshat asked Resh Galuta, יש שבע גדול וישמור ידיו עד שנוטלים כולם, ואמר לה, all right, so he says, maybe it makes more sense to have the big guy wash last. So why is that? So the reason we're going to see, right, what the reason is, but this way he won't have to wait, like for everybody to wash, so he can, he can he can have freedom to do what he wants to do until everybody washes, and it gives him more free time instead of having to wait, in silence as everybody washes. That's gonna tie him up. That's gonna, right, encumber him. So if he doesn't, why should he want that? That's not really a form of honor. it's really a burden. That's what it is, you know. That's what he's saying, right? So he says, "Amar le le'altar maitu tacha kameh." So he says, you know what? What they do is he washes first, and then they bring the table right to him. In other words, they let him dig into the food right away. He doesn't have to wait for anybody. Just to explain to you, right, what that means, a little background information. In those days, in the days of the Talmud, the way it was is that when they dined, together as a group, each person had his like own little table there, like a mini table in front of him. So it wasn't like one big table for everybody. That's why they say, we bring the table to him right away. What does that mean? That once you bring the table, he's going to start eating, right? So you won't have to wait for everybody who's washing, 30 people washing there. Why should he have to sit and wait for them? For what? That's what he's saying. Okay, so we'll see how that works. Rashi explains, Shulchan shelo mevi'in miyad lefanav ve'ochel, right? So exactly what I told you, that's what Rashi says, right? Word by word. ולפני כל אחד היו מביאים שולחן קטן, וכי מעסיק רב ששת, אנא מתניתא ידענה, מים הראשונים מתחילים מן הגדול, ופירש רש"י, ולאלתר מאלה תחא קמא, right? So, exactly what I told you, exactly what it says here. So, no need to repeat it again. Okay. So anyway, right, ולפי זה, עכשיו שאין לנו נוגעים. So now, right, comes Bit Yosef, right, and makes a deduction over here. He says, well, according to what we just said, since nowadays we don't have this custom to have these small little tables for everybody, right? Everybody's got their mini table there going on. So then, right, it should be that the senior, the elder, right over there, should not wash first. Because otherwise it's gonna be wasting time, waiting for everybody else, right? Very, very, very cumbersome kind of way of doing things. It's actually disrespect to him to have to do that. Okay, so לא אבל גדול ראשון כדי שלא ישוב וישמור. מכל מקום, כיוון דברייתא סתמא קטנה דמתחילין מן הגדול, but he says, since the Braita says that we start from the big guy, mashma de bechol makom, so implies that in every case, bechol zman, right? Doesn't matter how your tables are, or whatever it may be, right? How your culture is, it's all the same, we always start with the big guy, that's the way it goes. בכל זמן צריך לחלוק כבוד לגדול, ליטול תחילה. ואף על פי שכולם אוכלים בשולחן גדול, so he says anyway, like it's an honor to the elder person there to wash first, even though they're eating on a big table. ואין אחד מהם מתחיל לאכול עד שיתרו כולם. So what's going to be is, everybody starts to eat together in a big table, Okay. וכן נראה שהוא דת הרמב"ם. So it seems like the Rambam also says like this, שכתב בפרק ז' מהלכות ברכות, he says there in the laws of blessings, the gadol notel yadav techila, that as we said, right, the big guy, the elder, right, will wash his hands first. Right? ולא חילק כלל, he didn't differentiate, right? Big table, small table, right? Mini table, right? Whatever it is, it's all the same. Right? It doesn't make any difference. ומיהו רבנו כתב בסימן שאחר זה שהראש היה גרגיל. So, but Rabbeinu, right, the Torah says, right, that he says in the next chapter, he writes that the Rosh, his custom was, he would wash last. Oh. So there you go, right? Like, why? Because he didn't want to have to, start talking in the middle, right? And doing other things, because, he wanted to, right after he washes, he wanted to already, like, break the bread, and But if he has to wait for everybody, right, that's very inconvenient for him. So therefore, what he would do is to wash last. Ah, so maybe that shows us, right, that that's the preferred method and nowadays. Okay, we'll see, whatever. סדר הסיבה בזמן שהם שתי מיטות גדול משאת בראש. So then the Torah brings up another issue, right, which is that when you're doing right together, sitting together as a group, what happens is that the way they do like the seating arrangement, the so the big guy, right, the other again, right, the elder, he sits at the head. So what does that mean at the head? He's talking about, in those days they sat on couches. It wasn't like individual chairs like we have. So he would sit at the top of the couch, in other words, at the head of the couch. Just like right, the elder should be, right? He should be at the head. Anyway, let's read a little bit more in the Torah. There's a few more words there that we need to see. So then the Torah says, "Usheni lo lemata min," right? And then the second guy, right? Guy number two sits right next to him, right? The vice president over there, right? The second in command. And Hayu Gimel Mitot, that's if there was two couches, right? But if there was three couches, Gadol Maseh Berosh, the first guy will sit on the head, all right? Usheni lo lemala meno, and then the second guy will be above him. Ushishi lemata meno, and the third guy will be below him. So like he's in the middle, right? And he's got one guy on top and one guy below. So what's that all about, right? We have to understand what that means. So, עשינו על פרק חזקת הבתים של שולחן של תלמיד חכם, כיצד, so he says, how do you do a table of a Talmid Chacham, right? The Torah scholar. How do you arrange that? בית שלישים גדול, גדיל, שליש, גלאי, שעליה קערות וכוסות, פירוש בית שלישים, מכוסות מפה, שליש בכל צד, ושליש האמצעי מגולה, בטבעתו שטוענים אותו בו, אם יש תינוק שיושב אצל אביו, יהפוך הטבעת לחוץ, שלא ישחוק בו התינוק וינענע השולחן, ואם אין תינוק, אם יש שמש ששמש בסעודה, יהפכנו לצד פנים, שלא ייכשל בו השמש, ואם אין שם שמש, יהפכנו לצד חוץ. Okay, so he's telling you right here the order that they sit, each individual, right, in his own particular respective place, right? But I'm just reading through it because I'm trying to understand like what this means. It's a little bit hard to picture it, without a diagram. But let's just read through it one second, and we'll try to explain everything, right, afterwards. So it says here, ואם אין שם שמש יהפכנו לצד חוץ, ואין מילא בלילה, אבל ביום, that's only at night, but if it was nighttime, אם יש שמש יהפכנו לצד חוץ. If there's a shamash, right? Shamash is the waiter. Then he's going to turn it towards the outside, שיוכל לראותו, in order that you should be able to see him, ולא ייכשל בו, right? So this is the language of the Torah. Okay, so where does he bring this language from? He brings this from Seems like it's all from the Brighton, the Gemara there. Where is this Gemara from? Yeah, I think we should look at the Bet Yosef. He'll probably explain everything, because in the tour, it's not really so clear how this diagram looks. Take a look there. Hopefully, he'll explain. Yeah, so says Bet Yosef. First of all, it's all from the Brighton, as we said, right? All this stuff. So then he goes on to say, Bet Yosef, Karasina Perek Cheskat Batim, right? We say in this Perek, Cheskat Batim, right, Shulchan of the Talmid Chacham. Yeah, so it comes from this Gemara. So there's two different Gemarot over here, right? The issue of the order, number one, number two, number three, that's in the Breita that we mentioned. And now the issue with the Talmid Chacham, right? How his table is arranged, that's in Nun Zayin Amud Bet, right? So let's just see where this all comes from. The first part is from Brachot, this Breita. And then the second part, let me just take a look, 1 second. Okay, yeah, that's in Baba Batra, Kaf Chet Amud Aleph. But this is Nun Zayin Amud Bet. Second. Yeah, Baba Batra, yeah, okay. All right, so anyway, third parak. Okay, so we got Brachot, we have Baba Batra. So anyway, right, it says there that regarding the table of the Talmid Chacham, Peresh Rashbam, Shnei Shlishi Rochav Ashulchan Mechuseh B'Mapa. Right, so the Rashbam explains over there, right, how this diagram, how this scheme looks, right? So let's see how that is. Just 1 second, I'm sorry. Yeah. So he says like this, the Rashbam. 2/3 of the width of the table, it's covered with a tablecloth. Mitzad ochalin, right? That's on the side of the diners, right? The kaneach et pihem. So he says, right, that the purpose of that, it's like basically like a big napkin, to wipe their mouths, when they're to clean the mouth. So it's like a big napkin, basically. Okay, well, okay. We do it differently, right? Everybody has their own individual napkin, right? Things were different in those days. ולתת עליה את הפת, right? And also they would put the bread there. ושליש החיצון, and the outside, right? The outer part, outer third, megule, it was open, right? The table was uncovered there. ליניח עליו קערות. So there they would put the trays, right? For the of food. The kosot שלא ילכלכו המפה, and also the right, also the cups as well, right? That they shouldn't dirty the tablecloth, ויתבזו האוכלים, and then the food will become disgusting, whatever. The מפרש שלישי גילה. So okay, that's one explanation, right? If that wasn't enough for us already, as it is. Now he's giving you another one. Okay. Uh, דהיינו מפת מבחוץ ומפנים right. So according to this, right, the tablecloth, right, was actually towards the outside, not the inside, like we said before, the opposite, right? ומבפנים, on the inside, כל סביב השולחן אמצעיתו, all around the table, right? And also in the middle, megule, it was open, right? It was uncovered. גדיל קרא המפה על שם ערוגה לשון צחו. So he says gedil is called the tablecloth, right? God, if you didn't know all these terms, right? If nobody will explain it to you, you'd have a hard time understanding all this stuff. Thank God, we have the commentaries on the Talmud. Otherwise, we'd have a real hard time. Okay, so now at least we understand what's going on, right? According to both explanations, basically what you have is like this, right? A part of the table is covered, a part of the table is, not covered. Basically, that's what it is. That's what we're talking about. So this is the table of the Talmid Chacham, right? The Torah scholar, who does everything with wisdom, right? The proper way, right? That's the whole thing, right? The more cultured way, right? The more Torah way. Okay, so that's that. Okay, I don't know exactly how that helps us today because we don't do it like that today, whatever. But anyway, that's the way it was in the good old days, nostalgia. One day, that's what it was. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Those were the good old days. רבנו, so מה שכתב רבנו, וטבעתו שתולין אותו בו, and then, right, what else we got here? Yeah, we got to go back to the tour for a second. There's some more stuff there. Right, so this is the actual language of the tour, right? Again, very hard to imagine what this means, exactly how this looks, but he says that there was taba'ato. What does that mean, taba'ato? There was some kind of a ring there. I don't know what kind of ring we're talking about exactly. We'll have to define this, right? Shetolino to bo. That they would hang it on it, right? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Maybe it's talking about that they, right? Maybe it means that they hung the table like that. It was hanging. The table was hanging. I don't know exactly what that means. We'll see. Anyway, אם יש תינוק שיושב אצל אביו יהפוך הטבעת. So it says if there's like a little child who's sitting next to his father, so then he'll overturn that ring. Okay, לחוץ towards the outside. שלא ישחוק בו התינוק. That the child should not play with it, right? Children like to play with rings. Okay. תינוק, וינענע השולחן. Oh, so you know what's going to be, right? If he starts playing with the ring, it's going to start shaking the table, like some kind of haunted table there, it's shaking. Oh my God, you know? Okay, so this is strange stuff going on here. Right, we're not familiar with this setup here. This is the good old days. Okay, so Ve'im en tinok, right, but if there's no child there, right, we got lucky, right? There's no children. All the whole meal is for adults, right? So אם יש שמש שמשמש בסעודה, יהפכנו לצד פנים. So if there's a waiter, he says, right, that's serving the food, whatever, right? Then he's gonna turn that ring towards the inside, שלא ייכשל בו, in order that the waiter should not trip over it. If you can picture all this, I can't really picture it so well. But anyway, right, we'll see the bit Yosef. Hopefully, he'll explain a little bit more about what this is all about. ואם אין שם שמש, יהפכנו לצד חוץ. If there's no waiter, they should do it towards the outside, right? At night, he says that we're talking about. But if it's in the daytime, אפילו אם יש שמש, even if there is a waiter, יהפכנו לצד חוץ. You should do it towards the outside. שיוכל לראותו, they should be able to see it, ולא ייכשל בו and not trip over it, right? You got me. I don't know. Okay, so that's the end of the tour. So let's go to Beit Yosef, right? And we'll finish off the grand finale over here. This grand finale of a chapter here. Okay. So says Beit Yosef regarding this. As we said, right? It's written over there about this ring. It's on the inside, on the outside. Hard to picture how that looks. I don't know exactly what. I wish I had a picture of this. Right? Lo kashya, right? So there's two teachings, right? One says the ring was on the inside. One says the ring was on the outside. Wow. Right? So lo kashya, right? So then he says there's no contradiction. Why? Hadeika yenuka. We're not talking about when there's a little child there, as we said, right? He's going to play around with that ring and destabilize the table. Right? Hadeleka yenuka, and the one is talking about when there's no child. Or I should give you a different answer also if you want. Deka yenuka. We're both talking about when there's a kid there. Deka shama. Hadeleka shama. One is talking about when there's a waiter. One is talking about when there's no waiter. Or I can tell you another one, right? Even a better answer. Shama. It's both talking about that there is a waiter. One is talking about the daytime. One is talking about the nighttime. Oh, so here we are, right? The redemption has come because here's the Rashbam, right, to explain all this cryptic material here. So okay, now we're gonna probably see, right, what's really going on. So he says, "B'tabato shel shulchan she'ayu regilim la'asot b'sfato litloto bo." Right. So yeah. So basically, right, it's what we said, which is that this ring, right? What was the purpose of it? To hang the table on it, right? Don't ask me why they're hanging the table. I don't know. I don't know why it needs to be hung. I'm not really sure. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so now the question is like, is it going to be on the outside? Is it going to be on the inside? This ring, right? Right? What else we got here? מצד הסמוך לו, היכא דאיכא ניונוקה, שיושב אצל אביו לאכול צריך להושיב בשולחן שצד שבו קבועה הטבעת מבחוץ. Right. So in other words, basically the idea is like this, right? Don't ask me why, I don't know, but this table's hanging off that ring. And the thing is we want to position it in a way, several things, right? Number one is that the child will not play with it. So if he's on one side, put the ring on the other side, right? So he shouldn't reach the ring, and touch it and play around with it and shake the table.
It's kind of giving me the impression that this table may be suspended from the ceiling rather than with a leg.
Right. The question is why though? I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know exactly why. Okay. I don't know. It sounds like something haunted over here, a haunted table. I don't know what it is. Okay, whatever. Anyway, very mystical diagram there. So anyway, right. So anyway, right. As we said, so you got to put it on the other side, the opposite side of the kid, so he doesn't play with it. That's the one, right? So now, right, what about there's also other factors, right? Which is, if there's a waiter, right, we don't want this, we don't want him tripping over this ring, so therefore we put it on the opposite side of the waiter, right? If there's, and also, right, as we said, uh, it depends also whether it's day or night, because, in the nighttime you can't see so well, right? So you got to put it in a position where nobody's going to trip over it, the waiter, whatever it is, right? God knows. Okay, so הדאיכא שמה, ויעשה מפנים כל פן ייכשל בה השמש, והדאיכא שמה, יעשה מחוץ ולא מפנים פן יזכו בה האוכלים, right, so in other words, there's also another consideration. We also don't want the diners, to trip over this thing. So it's like basically a big obstacle to everybody. Nobody wants to have this on his side, It's very strange. Okay, whatever. Oh God, this is something. So anyway, right, that's the story there. It's a
It's just a
complete
ring of potential violations.
whatever it is. It's cool. It's a very unique situation. So anyway, right, as we said, והאוכלים ואומרים, היכא דאיכא שמה יעשה בפנים מצד היושבים ולא בחוץ וכשאוכלים זהר מן הטבעת יותר מן השמש שהוא הולך והן יושבים. Right, so he says there's also, difference between the diners and the waiter. Why? Because right, the diners can avoid, tripping over it because they're sitting, so it doesn't bother them so much. But the waiter who's always like walking around, so for him it's more of an obstacle, so we got to take that into consideration even more. אוקיי, היי ביממה, יהיה בחוץ שיוכל לשמש שיזהר שלא מפנים שמזיק לאוכלים מצד שצר להם למקום, right? So he says, right, now, what about this day and night business, right? What's with that? So he says, right, that in the daytime it should be on the outside. So this way, right, the waiter can be careful and not on the inside. Why? Because otherwise it what do you call it? It reduces the space for the diners, So we don't want it over there on the side of the diners. Wow, what a story! What can I tell you? I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, but I mean, let's face it, right? All this lesson that we just learned is totally useless for us, because we don't have this kind of a arrangement. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's good to
I
know, right?
wonder
All Torah.
I wonder if the table that we're going to go eat with Abraham in heaven is going to be like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good one. I like that. All right. You know what? I'm gonna make right. When I go to sleep tonight, I'm gonna ask them in the dream. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Amazing.
Okay. If you don't hear from me, that means that it didn't succeed.
I won't hold my breath, but I'll be interested to find out.
Okay. All right. So anyway, right. Let's go to Shulchan Aruch, right? And we're done with this. I think we're finished with the whole topic here. This was quite a grand finale, right? Quite a conclusion here. All right, I can't tell you. I wasn't expecting something like this, I'm gonna have to tell you. As our grand finale. So it says Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, actually, it's very small compared to what we learned in Beit Yosef. You know why? Because most of it is already not right, not practical. So the Shulchan Aruch doesn't even mention it. Right, all this the rings, and all that stuff. Right.
So when you're sitting on the couch, I'm picturing it like everyone would have to get out if someone in the middle needed to get up for a moment to go to the bathroom or to whatever. Everyone would have to get up.
Yeah. I mean, there's sort of an inconvenience there going on. I
So
guess
they
you're right.
seat the Torah scholars on the end that doesn't have close to the bathroom.
Perhaps we have to look at that a little bit more carefully. Whatever. But anyway, right nowadays, you know what the custom is, right? The big honcho sits at the head of the table. That's what it is. Come on. Yeah. That's all you need to know, right? Okay. The rest is the. So here's the Shulchan Aruch. Im rabim mesubin b'seuda. So he says, right, if there's a group of people, right, dining together, Hagadol notel yadav techila, right? The big guy, as we said, right, will wash first. Right? Even though that makes him have to wait now, right, for the others to wash. But nevertheless, we honor him to wash first. Go figure. I can understand that. והראש היה רגיל ליטול בחורן, but he says, but the Rosh, he would wash last, right? So you see, right, that he held that, it's better to wash last, actually, because of all the reasons we mentioned, right? You have to wait there, sit there like a log, do nothing for a while, right? It's wasted time, basically, right? שלא להפסיק ושלא לדבר. So the reason why I did this, it says the Rosh, because he didn't want to have to talk, and make all kinds of interruptions between the washing and the breaking of the bread. So therefore, this is the reason why he did it this way. So you see here two different opinions, right? They're both legitimate, whatever. But it seems like he's positing like the first opinion, that's pretty much the story there. But I don't think anybody will complain if you want to do like the Rosh. I don't think anybody will, accuse you of sinning. Okay, yeah, you'll get away with it. No question about it. But you have to tell them, like because otherwise, if you're the big rabbi there, they're all going to tell you, "Oh, rabbi, please wash first," and But if you tell them, "Oh, you know what? Let me do it last," go ahead, guys. So okay, so then maybe they'll let you do like the Rosh. Sometimes people feel uncomfortable doing this. You know why? Because they say, "Oh, like how are we going to all wash before the rabbi?" Doesn't look good. Some people don't like that. So the first opinion is really the main opinion. I can't tell you. Second one is more like a minority opinion. It's all good. Anyway, right? We're done with Netilat Yadayim. So I guess we'll stop here. Because we finished the chapter, we finished the topic. I think we're done pretty much. That's about it. Let me just see what we got next coming up, so you guys can prepare. Psychologically, whatever, however you want to prepare for the new topic. Let's see what we got coming up. Right. So next, we're going now into the laws of the seudah, of the meal, right? How to do the meal, right? Meaning that breaking the bread, right, and all that stuff, right? All that good stuff, during the meal. There's a lot of rules involved, with how to eat the meal and how to do the meal, how to organize the meal, how to finish the meal, right? All these things. So we're gonna get into that next time, B'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow. And we have one more day this week, B'ezrat Hashem, so we'll try to use that for good purpose. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Be blessed with wealth and health and happiness. Laila Tov. Chazak Baruch. We'll see you tomorrow. And I'm hearing some good news from Israel. They're making incredible achievements. Hashem is giving us such a tremendous victory. We have to keep praying, and thanking Hashem for all these amazing miracles that we're seeing. It's beyond comprehension. Even the goyim, or the non-Jews are like amazed, like they're totally in shock. Like how successful this is going. I hope it continues, Bezat Hashem. It should, Bezat Hashem. It should continue. Right, all throughout this year and all throughout our lifetimes and beyond. Amen, amen.
Good luck, Baruch.
Kavod Harav, thank you so much.
All the best.